Hey everybody, today I'm going to show you guys stamped concrete, but I'm going to take it a step further on one of the pours and do stenciled, which is it's kind of a waxy construction paper that they cut into really cool designs, field patterns and everything. And what it's going to do is it's going to create an actual grout line, which is something that normal stamping doesn't do. You'll have lines, but they're just indentions that are the same color. They're not really realistic. These are actually, and what I'm going to do today is I'm going to stencil a compass into the front patio. We actually orient it north, like true north, and it's kind of one of our signature moves that we make. And we even take it to another level where after today we will acid stain this into multiple colors. It is so cool. I think stenciling really doesn't get its due in decorative concrete because there's not a lot of guys out there doing it. Stamping's kind of a dime a dozen, which we're going to do a normal stamp in the back, show you the differences. But anyway, the concrete truck's pulling in. He's kind of going to make some noise. We're going to get this going. I will see you guys on the other side. We got six and a half, right? 6.5 yards. Let's put 10 in it. Okay. All right, guys. They're going to be putting. Cool. We're going to be putting about 10 gallons of water in here real quick. Get it a little wetter. This is our front patio, monolithic slab. And this is the one that we're going to stencil. We're going to put a compass right in the middle of it, and we're going to fill the field with basket weave stencil. I'll link in the description the company I buy that from. They're based out of Webb City, Missouri. They really pioneered a lot of the stenciling products. It's a really, really cool product. You cannot pour as much as you can pour with regular stamp or broom. There's just too much going on to pour more than 6 or 8 yards at a time. We're pouring 6.5 today. That's about all you want to take on. But anyway, we'll get to pouring this one. I'll show you the stencil. Hey, you just rake it down the hill, buddy. I'm on the wrong side of this chute. Hey, come here, Daryl. Hold this. Hold that. It's heavy. Hold it. All right, I got her now. All right, we have it. Okay, so we're just gonna get the rest of this poured out here, and just to be honest, this is not my normal crew that I pour with. Everybody's busy, everybody's short-handed right now. Between material shortages and labor shortages, it's a really crazy time in the building world. But I'm actually using 2 of my carpenters, and my pool partner is shooting the film for me. So we were making do, but really just getting the mud laid down is the hard part. The rest of the artistic part I can pretty much do by myself or with a helper that has never really done it before. It just takes extra sets of hands a lot of times. So we're just going to run a Fresno over it real quick, guys. I'm going to have to do that with a steel trowel out there. Daryl's tapping the sides, and that's just to kind of cream up the sides of the form since it's a monolithic. That's all going to cover up with brick anyway, so we're not overly concerned about it. And this is all we got to do right now, guys, because I'm about to put a stencil in it, and then I got to color it, do a whole bunch of stuff. It looks good, buddy. All right. And this entire porch gets brick, so I don't even have to get real sealed up on the edges because we're going to have about 4 inches of cover around the edge. Okay, so now that we've poured the front, which is gray because I'm stenciling it, we're going to put in. This is 6.5 pound, 6.25 pound bags. You can buy them in 25-pound bags, and we would do 1 bag per 4 yards. We're going to do these little bags. I'm going to put them in the truck, and we're going to dye the rest of the concrete. And the whole bag goes in. The gravel chews up the bag into nothing. He's going to pull around to the backyard and spin it. Yeah, put another 5 in it. Yeah, perfect. All right, guys, I'm going to show you stenciling. Now that I got this Fresno ready, Fresno finished, take it to that mark. You see it? On out, on out. You see that V marked in it says C, center for, yeah, right there. Right there, now down on it. Okay, so what I've done is I've marked east and west. There's my line. Okay, pull that back in. Now I'm going to go get the stencil and lay it in, oriented perfectly east and west. Show you that right now. Flip it over. It's upside down. There you go. Hand me that side. All right. Okay, now we're gonna lay that right on that line, okay? Okay, easy, I don't wanna stretch it out here. Okay, pick it up like so. Come back your way just a couple inches, okay? I'm gonna lay my part down first, okay? Right on the line. You're gonna follow the line. Perfect. Now come back a little, right there. Okay, just lay that. Grab me the other one. The other one's gonna be a little harder for you. We might have should have started with it. Probably hit me that one, yep. And then we flip it over. Okay, just like that. All right. It's going to overlap. That's going to overlap, okay? I'll let you put yours first. Overlap. Yep, just put it right there and hold it, okay? It's okay, I can fix that. Ooh, too much. Right there she is. All right. Okay, that's it. Now, if I can get that pool trowel, I'll grab a mag. Okay, guys, now is all I'm going to do is lay it down in the mud. I don't have to get it all because I'm going to Fresno this again. Just going to get what I can reach. Nothing? Okay, and this is basically going to act like masking tape if you were painting something. I'm going to throw that to you. You do the same thing. Just gently lay it down. Okay, guys, I've got the compass in. I'm ready to color it now. What we use is something called color hardener, and what it is, it's a mixture of like Portland and sand. It's very gritty, and what that's going to do, it's got a lot of dye in it, but it's going to get down in the surface of the concrete, and it's going to make the concrete surface harder, which is excellent. But also, and we want to get this on here while the bleed water is still kind of coming out so it hydrates. You can see it getting darker in places, and you want it almost thick enough that it barely does that. It's almost dry on top. But if you're going to watch what I'm doing, I'm going to throw it really careful because I don't want it in my stencil, in my compass. I'm going to leave it gray for a later date. So anyway, we're going to do this, and then we will use a pool trowel or steel trowel. I can get a little bit of dye in there because as soon as I hit it with a steel, it takes a lot of dye actually to color it. And if I just get a little bit and I hit it with a steel, it'll just disappear. Okay, guys, so what I'm doing now is I'm just troweling in the color. As soon as we do that, we're going to go to the backyard and start working on this, the integral color, just stamp pour. But this color here with a charcoal release on it to give it an antique, realistic finish is going to look very good with the brick she has chosen. So, okay guys, this pour back here is just a simple slate stamp, and because we want it to kind of blend with the brick she chose, we put a wheat color. It's kind of a taupey brown, but the release agent that we're going to put on there will darken it and make it look really awesome. So this is an easier process than that stencil. Obviously that stencil is a pretty labor-intensive deal. This is really the only thing that makes stamp more expensive than a broom finish is all the extra trips for cleanup and sealing, because the actual process is not bad. I don't know how many concrete guys would want to admit that, but stamping it is no big deal. Okay guys, so now everything, we got the color where we want it, the compass is just right, and the bleed water is gone. It's still very soft, we can't stamp it yet, but what we're going to use now is something called powdered release agent. And it is, we're using a charcoal color. We're going to wash away 90% of this. So this is an antiquing, it's going to serve multiple purposes. But for the moment, I'm going to just sling it as lightly as I can, like so. And this is, the function of this is to keep my stamps from sticking to the concrete. Just like flouring a roller when you're baking. And this stuff is about the consistency of flour. If you were to grab into it, it's very soft and very, very fine. But anyway, we're going to do this. This stuff is hydrophobic. It's completely waterproof. I will show you that before I wash my hands. It's pretty wild. Water runs off this like mercury. I can put my hand down in a bucket and there'll be like a bubble of air around my hand and it won't be wet even though I'm down in water. So it won't actually soak into the tertiary water on the surface of this concrete. But you don't want to put it on the concrete when it's super wet, and you cannot touch it with a trowel. There's nothing you cannot repair. If you got dogs that are loose and they might run across this, you got to lock them up before you do this phase, because if they step on it, there is no fixing it. So you really want to take care once you get to this phase. After the function of keeping the stamps from sticking, it's really artistic function. will be every little divot and every little crease in my stamp. When I wash it, it'll be more likely to leave behind some dark residue in the reliefs in the stamp, making it look like a very real rock. You know, in a rock, you know, the dirt and everything will accumulate over years in the creases, and that's what makes a rock have so many different variations and stuff. So while I'm stamping, it's keeping my stamp from sticking. After I stamp, it's making it look real because it makes it kind of a two-tone finish. Okay guys, before I start stamping this one, I just kind of want to explain to you how the release works today and then later. So today, it's release agent, release coat. It's powdered. They also make a liquid release I don't like as well. The powdered release is just keeping my stamps from sticking, right? And the crazy thing about it, it's called a hydrophobic, meaning it's like a waterproof powder. I'm going to show you. I'm going to dip some water out. I'm going to drip it on my hand. Now, look at that. I don't know if you can see that. Let me do that again. See that water just moving around? My hand is dry. That water is not on my hand. It's like mercury rolling off. Now I'm going to take my GoPro just so I can set it in the water here. If I can figure, there we go. Then I'll put this on with the audio, but I'm going to drop this down in here. You can kind of see it on this camera too, probably. Look at that. My hand is dry. See that? There's a bubble around my hand. Isn't that crazy? Look at that. My hand is dry. Look at that. Okay guys, so what we're going to do is I have a roller stamp that I use on stencil, but because the entire thing isn't stenciled, the problem with the roller is it'll give you a mechanical repeat that the human eye will pick up because the same piece of the stamp will hit in the same spot in a straight line. You won't see it if you stencil because of all the grout lines, but because we have a field that's just plain, we're going to use a slate stamp. You can see we've got the two big ones here, and all I'll do to start is I'll get in the corner right here, and it's ready to stamp. The consistency of the surface of the concrete, I about got that. I bound it up. You don't want to bind it up against the wall. You can see that texture I stamped into it, and it's getting good penetration, but it's not sinking too far. If you get on it too early, you'll see guys that use tamps, and that's fine. I tend to just get on it and walk around on it. As long as you time it right, you won't leave any deep impressions where your feet are, and it works really well. So I'm going to sit this here, and Daryl, you can help me grab these big stamps. You can go over there, and we'll stamp the rest of this puppy. Okay, so we're going to start stamping the front patio right now, and there's not a lot to it, but it's nice to have an extra set of hands to help get the big stamps up onto a slab when you're just getting started. Okay guys, so I'm just making sure I kind of get my feet on every inch of it. This is fairly rigid rubber. It'll kind of hold you up and float a little bit, so I'm not going to have a problem with leaving footprints. You pick this one up, that's how you take that one up. So you pick that one up, and I'll walk right here to make sure I don't have a seam where that one was showing. Okay, and then I'll step out here, and I'll grab this guy, and I will just simply roll it back. And you want to just keep turning them 90 degrees. That way you don't pick up a mechanical repeat. Okay guys, so you can see I'm just doing the same thing over and over again, just rotating the stamps, 90 to 180 degrees just to avoid any kind of mechanical repeat in the stamps, and making sure to try to hide any edge seams by overlapping and flipping the overlap back over itself and walking on that. So it's just a simple process. It gets a little tedious, and on a day like today, it was like 96 degrees, and gets pretty hot because you really can't stop once you start. You're just kind of stuck out there in the dust, and it's like I said, it's a little more work than broom work, regular gray concrete, and obviously you got to go back and clean it and seal it, and all that stuff adds time and labor. But it's not an overly difficult process from a skill set. All right, guys, that is stamped and ready to rock. So now I've just started running my first pass, and I'll kind of show you a couple things. So I don't want to step right where that thing is underneath. I can step on this stamp where the edge might have left an impression, but I don't want to step on the edge that's under. So I'll step out here. I'll grab these two handles, and I'm going to step over that crease, and I'll pick it up like this, and I'm going to turn it a random number, either 180 degrees, 90 degrees, whatever, so that I don't get the same look over here. Okay, and I'm going to lay that like so. I'm going to turn around and pull this guy up. Work my way down that edge so I don't see that edge. I'm just going. All right, guys, we're just about done. I'm filthy. This is part of stamping. You probably see why I'm not wearing one of my white cutting edge shirts. Stencil's ready to come up. This is kind of the first step of where the magic happens, so to speak. So I'm going to start peeling it up, and you can see that grout line. So it actually fools people because the grout line is a different color than the concrete. People think that it's real tile. So I'm going to pull this. When I get it where I can't reach very good, I'm going to yank it all at once straight up. And I'm going to get it off there. You don't want to drag it across the, you don't want to do anything right now where you scratch or put any indentations. It's still pretty wet. You know, there's a lot of moisture in it, and you don't want to give it an excuse to be scratched, the release coat to be embedded into the concrete. But look at this. Isn't this cool? And, okay. Well, I'll leave the S over there, and I'll dig the east out. There's the east, the west is out. Those two, I'm going to leave them. I'm not going to try to get to them. Okay, guys, so now I'm back in the backyard on the Integral Color stamped slab, and I'm just washing the release agent off. And some people say you shouldn't use a pressure washer. You can't get real aggressive with it. I'm just using it to, you can see the stuff is waterproof. It runs like lava. It's really weird and very messy. And it's just kind of hard to clean off another way, but you can't really get down on the concrete and risk etching it, but it does remove it very well. You still need to go back after this and use a light acid solution like muriatic acid, just a little bit of acid and water. And that really takes care of the last bit of release. You get rid of about 90% of the release and only leave the dark areas in the impressions. Okay, guys, so now today it's all washed down. It's good and dry. I have 3 colors of acid stain here, 2 from Brick Form and 1 old one from Butterfield. They're all good stains, and this is something I kind of became known for. I don't know why, but I just did it because I liked it on a couple projects, and then people started requesting it. This compass, like I said, we do it like kind of 3-tone. So when you stamp something, when you stain, you can always stain over until once you've sealed it, you're kind of done. But so we're going to kind of give this a whole bunch of character. It's going to jump out at you as you walk up to the front door. Okay, guys, so now you get to see just how tedious this process is, but man, is it worth it. As you can see on the left side of the screen, the acid kind of sizzles. It reacts with the lime, and it fizzes up, and it takes a little while. If you watch on the right side of the screen, it kind of changes colors as I'm working my way around. It kind of burns in the color. But it takes a lot of time and effort to do something this detailed. We're not using near as much acid as I would use like on a floor like a garage or a basement floor, so the neutralizing process is easier, but obviously the application is pretty time consuming. As you can see, I changed clothes because I ran out of steam and daylight the first night and had to come back the second night and finish it up, but it turned out really great. Okay, guys, so now we are obviously done with the acid staining. I'm going to use some ammonia. You can use TSP, baking soda, whatever, and just mix it with water. We're going to neutralize it, and it's also, when we wash it, it's going to set the color. Right now, you could actually scrub a lot of that color off. I'm going to pour about a ½ inch of ammonia, just about like I do with the muriatic acid when I'm cleaning it. Obviously, everything else except for this acid stain was already ready for sealer, but I need to neutralize this and sort of let it set. So I'm just going to use this light solution, let it set on there for a bit. And you don't want to scrub hard. Like I said, guys, it's the color is not 100% set until the first time you get it good and wet, and let that acid get neutralized. The reason we have to neutralize is so that it will take the sealer and it will not react poorly with the sealer and make it fail. So that's the only reason we're doing this step. So as soon as this dries up, we can seal it and call it done. So when I just get a little bit scrubbed on, so I know it's on every inch, I'll just probably dump out the whole bucket on it and let it sit for a couple minutes and then rinse it off. It's not a major deal. If you've got a floor, like a basement floor that you've really thrown the acid to, this is a much bigger deal. There's just not a ton of acid on this, as you saw me doing it with a little bitty paintbrush. this is not like heavy acid like you do on a big floor. So, okay, kind of just flood it completely. And I'll scrub that off and just rinse the entire thing, get it dried off here tonight and get it sealed up. Okay, so I am using Surf Coat 25% solids UV sealant. It's a stamp seal, solvent based, and it's a really good sealer. 25% solids you can spray with a pump sprayer or an airless sprayer. I don't think on stamped it gets it real even with a pump sprayer. An airless is great, but it's a lot of setup and a lot of cleanup, and for something this size I didn't really think it necessary. But you'll notice on the second coat I go the other direction, try to make sure to eliminate all roller marks. Pretty simple process really, and the solvent-based sealers really look like $1 million. None of the water-based really will give you that rich, wet look as of yet. Okay guys, it is all done. Obviously, you know, like we used a Surf Coat stamp seal, which is a solvent-based sealer, really nice. I like all the products Surf Coat has. Sealed up, ready for years of use. This, everybody's always asking me what things cost, and I don't know in your market, but stamped concrete around Missouri is usually around 10 bucks a foot to start. That, you know, for the field patterns here. Stenciling will usually go up at least a couple dollars a foot, maybe a little more. If it's just one big color, a couple dollars a foot. The stencil itself is about 30 cents a square foot. It's a one-time use product. When it comes to acid staining and stuff like that, you know, I joked around earlier in the video about the smaller my brush, the more the money, and there's a lot of truth to that. This is art, you know, but it's also a small piece. It's not terribly expensive. The stamp in the back, like I said, that's, you know, somewhere around 10 bucks a square foot. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you guys on the next video. We've got one coming up about light deck and 2 really cool home tours, including the craziest ICF house you've ever seen with all ICF light deck, ICF pool. It's amazing. So bringing that to you guys in the next couple weeks.